Hello there everyone, this is I am Mark III and welcome back to the giant stompy robot simulator. That is Mechwarrior Online. I think for the first time in about a month. But yeah, welcome back. Kind of stopped for a while there, but honestly I did kind of need a little bit of a break from the game since I've been doing it regularly for I've been doing it every weekend pretty much for I think uh, about a year now. So a little time off, a few weekends off. It's just what wound up happening, unfortunately. So apologies for not announcing that in advance. There was a lot of stuff that wound up happening, honestly, but we're back now. We're here to play with the greatest of all creations ever, of course, the giant walking robot death machines. And for this particular walk, as you can see, we are taking out a Mauler with enhanced detection systems on board. Not really. That's a bit of a lie. There isn't really much by way of detection systems. There is more tracking systems, but, you know, either or. The mech for this particular walk is the MAL-1R variant. So it's the 1R, but the resistant type with resistant paint job and the C-bill bonus for it. This is all kind of flown naturally off the tongue, so yep, I think I can get straight back into this. And for the walk today, I decided to try and, take a Mauler that is more in the spirit of the original Mauler intention. Since the original unit was kind of intended for more of a anti-air slash anti-light fire support role, rather than what I tend to do with it, which is like pack things like AC-20s and massive amounts of missiles and things like that into it. So yeah. In case you didn't notice though, this MAL-1R is the one I called the Serious because it's the one that I got the Seriously achievement with. So this is by far and away my most played Mauler chassis, and I'll explain why that's significant very shortly as part of the Mech Lab thing, not as not in the actual game itself. So, right, let's go to the Mechwarrior, shall we? Mechwarrior. Right. As you can see, we've got a bit of empty space in here, but we've also got a fair bit of weaponry. So, let us begin the standard rundown, shall we? This particular Mauler is built on a standard structure with a double heatsink upgrade. It also carries a light ferrofibrous armour. Admittedly, we could squeeze like 3 or 4 tons extra equipment into it if we actually stripped it to a standard armor and a endo steel structure. But I want to keep it as it is to preserve its main loadout, which is the quadruple LRM-15 Artemis missile range destruction nonsense thing. So, yes, indeed. This particular one is powered by a 300 rated light engine carrying no extra heatsinks, giving it a full speed of 54 kph. Its weaponry systems are split, primarily ballistic with a fairly solid missile secondary loadout, and it's all geared around range, so this Mauler does not want to get up close and personal at all. Yes, indeed. The primary weapons are a quartet of Ultra AC-20s fed by 5.5 tons of ammunition. I almost forgot the ton in the arm, which I just shoehorned in there to take up the last of the space. So yeah, by 4 Ultra ACs fed by 5.5 tons of ammunition, and they are supported by a quartet of LRM-5s with Artemis upgrade, again because I didn't want to take that off. So, these missiles are going to be more accurate if you have direct line of sight. I'll have to cope with that, unfortunately. And those 4 launchers are fed by 3 tons of LRM ammunition. I should like to note, by the way, that the reason I actually wound up going with LRM-5s is to get rid of the rabbit ears, if I call them it. So if you mount anything bigger than an LRM-5 or an SRM-6, basically anything with an MRM or an LRM-10 or, well, actually, yeah, MRMs and LRMs of that weight and above, you wind up with the rabbit ears, which increases your side torso profile by about 20-25% or so. so it would stick up above there, and there's no way around it. But if you take the smaller launchers, they actually occupy this little panel here, which doesn't increase the size of the side torso at all. So that's why we've got 4 launchers, which is not something I normally do, like multiple light launchers. But in this case, it kind of fits with what I'm trying to do with it. So, you know, keeps it somewhat compact compared to the usual bulking up that happens on the shoulders. So I'm afraid this particular Mauler has skipped its workout, or something to that effect. Expand it back. So yeah, that's that. As I said, we could shave it. Well, we could get a couple of extra tons if we went with endo steel instead of light ferro. Though that would also take up almost all the slots. We'd have like, I think we'd have 2 slots spare, and along with about 3 to 4 tons. So we could fit some additional energy weapons as a backup system in there, but I didn't want to go that route. So this is purely based around the torso weaponry. The arms are thoroughly expendable. Yes, indeed. Now, on to the other bit, which I don't normally show, but this is why I mentioned the MAL-1R is my most played mech. I'm actually going to go into the skill tree for once. Yes. This particular Mauler was one of the first mechs I maxed out, and it was done entirely with historic. And since then, I actually had like enough points to buy another 30-odd nodes. I bought about 20 of them, and I've retooled it slightly. So it was previously purely geared towards missiles. Now I've bought the remaining nodes I didn't have in the firepower tree, and I have got the relevant nodes for the Ultra ACs as well. So I've got reduced jam chance and additional ammunition capacity, which is quite nice. So 60 out of 70 possible nodes in firepower. This is very offensively geared. Though to make room for that, I originally had 17 nodes in the sensor tree, which I have gotten rid of completely. It was originally all around radar deprivation and, sorry, no, not radar deprivation, target retention, target decay, which is really important for an LOM pure build. Not so much for a half and half, I must admit, because the LOMs are not the primary weapon system here, so, you know, we don't need to keep track of the target quite as much in this case. Radar deprivation would have been nice, but I decided not to go that way. We have my standard, which is the heat operations. So 20 points there, just to give it a lot of heat capacity and cool running to help it cool itself off. And then the remaining points I've actually thrown into mobility. Mostly geared around its kinetic bursts, so it's got best possible acceleration. And it's also got some deceleration boosts as well for the most part. So hard braking, about half of the nodes of that. So yeah, it'll just help this Mauler move around a little bit more easily. Speaking of heat, actually, I forgot to mention, this build, it runs a little bit on the hot side. It's got a 1.18 out of 2. Not too bad. It should run relatively well. It might overheat if the missiles are being brought into operation. I plan to have those chain firing to avoid ghost heating. But the UACs are the main damage source, so they'll be firing constantly. It should be able to handle all the UACs just going off as fast as possible relatively well. I'm going to wait and see how that works out. But yeah, that is the build I have for today's walk, so let us get into some matches and see how this somewhat updated version of the classic Mauler loadouts handles. So yes, roll on match number 1.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
This is command. Eliminate all enemies, no matter the cost.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to Forest Colony. The game mode is Skirmish. Yes, indeed. Ooh. Hello, Jägermech. A Jägermech which looks like it's got some ultras as well, so pretty awesome. Well, either that or racks. Oh, it's a mixture. Double racks and double ultras. Nice. Also, before I forget, I should set my LRMs to chain fire mode, so they are ready to roll. Yes, indeed. Ah, dear. Right. Yeah, this feels kind of natural. Getting back into this again. I mean, I've been doing it regularly for so long. honestly, this is the first time I've strapped on the cockpit since I stopped doing the videos, really. And I already took straight to it. I remembered the controls just fine. Da 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 da. Yep, they're my nice. Oop, who's jumping? Oh, wait. One of my allies. Well, we're gathering up and we seem to be on the hilltop. So, let us begin. I'm sorry that I don't really seem to have that much of a ramble for you. I seem to be like stuck into commentator mode right now. I just hope my voice doesn't start packing in again, because quite honestly that has been a problem this last week. Only further messed up by the fact that I've been continuing to work since I am a assistant in a shop, and a friendly one, so I'm on the tills and I have to face people. Yuck. People. So, I have to talk, and I'm just generally friendly. So, I wound up talking too much, and my voice has more or less been dead for most of the last week when I've not been at work. I don't know. I can feel a faint tickle, but that is completely mild compared to how it's been of late.
Target spotted.
Target acquired.
Right, Irby. Irby. Now, admittedly, as I mentioned, the light LRM-5
Target acquired.
mass volley thing is not something I normally do, but as I understand it, it's more about maintaining a stream of fire and making the enemy very uncomfortable about how much is actually coming at them, rather than doing a massive salvo at something that happens to be exposed at the time. Oh dear. They are, however, very fast firing. Yep, okay, he wandered out, so... Oh, there's someone over there. An Irby. But it's very good at... That's where target decay would have been useful. It's very good at maintaining, lots and lots of fire.
New target acquired. New target
There we go.
acquired.
These UACs... The only problem is they're not automatic. They're not a rack. They're just a UAC, so... Oh well. I can fire those LRMs off really quickly if I need to.
New target
Oh
acquired.
dear. Right, let's see if I can help out with this guy. I'm just kind of like venting ammunition at this point. It's like, ooh, there might be something worth killing over there. Let's just lob as many missiles as possible at it. Let's also switch into heat tracking mode. Might help a little bit in picking out my targets. Oops, speaking of. There's my first UAC jam, I believe. 2 of them went down, but that's all okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, eat this. Eat it. Oh. And I overloaded because I was just getting too enthusiastic with the trigger. Oh, well. Gotta watch that, it seems. The poor heat rate management, well, it's not poor, it's acceptable. 1.2 is usually acceptable, but the UACs, they can fire faster. And because I've reduced the jam chance, they are actually producing more heat than expected.
New target acquired.
Oh well. Still, the kinetic burst is definitely working out for me, I think.
Acquired.
Oh, I'm being hit in the back. I think that was an ally. There are, however, enemies flanking around us now.
Target acquired.
Let's take cover here and be ready.
New target acquired. New target acquired.
Yeah, this actually feels really good. Oh, time to back off and cool. Admittedly, there is a slight fault with this particular build. Gotta admit to that. Apart from the fact it overheats more rapidly than I thought because I can just spam
New
firepower.
target
Oh, there's a black
acquired.
lander behind us. Oh dear. And that's the fact that because I've actually got a very light hitting loadout compared to.
Experiencing some losses. Don't get sloppy out there.
Yeah, my loadout is not very heavy hitting. Oh god, where'd they come from? Ugh.
Interdorsal critical damage. Left arm
Bloody hell.
critical damage.
Ah!
At 25.
And the enemy rush has begun. The piranhas, the urbies. Oh, I got killed by an urban mech. I'll continue that thought. I'm sorry. I was starting a thought. I got thoroughly distracted by the fact the entire enemy team was bearing down on me. So you know. Roll on match number 2.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online.
What up, gang?
All
Greetings.
systems nominal.
This is command. Eliminate all enemies, no matter the cost.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to match number 2. We are on Mining Collective. The game mode is, once again, Skirmish. So, let us begin. I will continue with the general thought I had. Well, I was in the middle of when I probably got blindsided. I should also mention, by the way, I forgot to comment on it previously, but I actually finished that previous match with 2 kill assists. Well, that's because we only got 3 kills in total. My entire team did.
Okay.
And I did actually 462 damage, so a surprisingly high damage rating, honestly. Oh, that was the supernova behind me, I believe, just lobbing some LOMs out. Ah, well. I am fairly fast for an assault, so I'm going to keep moving. Right. My thought was that this thing, the small LRM barrage is definitely an interesting little addition. I'm not normally having to click that much to fire so many, but I can't fire multiple small LRMs without extra heat buildup, and the experience in the previous map has taught me that this build, you've got to watch the heat as much as you can,
New
honestly.
target acquired. New target acquired.
Because when you're firing fast, it can really quick. Oh, jeez, I was trying to back up. Oh, there was a Sunstrider, I want to say. I've been out of the game a little bit, so forgive me if I'm not quite up on the lingo.
New target acquired.
Yeah, that Stormcrow didn't like that at all. But yeah, the AC2s I've said a few times, like, if you group them together, they are a very flexible general purpose kind of weapon system. Very useful in general. They can pile on the damage, especially if you're not being priorities. It looks like we've got the brawl developing around here, actually, for once in this map, rather than the middle, which is a bit strange, but it seems to be what's happening. Also kind of don't want to step out too much because I am already moderately damaged. But these UACs take it to another level. They fire really, really quickly.
New target acquired.
So that's something to watch out for. Hello, Direwolf. That Direwolf is actually very close to the stack, so that half of those are just impacting before they could get anywhere.
New target
But I'm just trying
acquired.
to find a line of fire to shoot at things. Oh, hello. Right. But be darned if they aren't actually some fun to have shooting off like that. Oh. Oh, jeez.
Target destroyed. New target acquired.
Target spotted.
Oh dear. They're actually starting to try and push through that gap now.
New target
Okay.
acquired.
Marauder seems to be in a little bit of trouble. They didn't seem to enjoy that at all. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit too close. Oh, that supernova's almost dead, actually.
Target
25%
destroyed.
of the enemies are eliminated.
Target acquired. New target acquired.
Actually, I find it so easy to just tap off 3, you know?
New target acquired.
And I came to my allies' backup there rather hard. That guy wasn't expecting a volley of ACs in the side. So yeah, these...
New target acquired.
Yep, they aren't enjoying that at all when I start rapid firing into them. Oh dear. Unfortunately, if they were a little bit further away, I could just do that. Oh, and I overdid it.
Override.
Oh, override. Come on, up, 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 move. Don't want to cool off here. The main thing, what I was saying before, is like I actually lack any kind of major
We're experiencing some losses.
hard-hitting,
Don't get
armor-breaching
lost out
weapon
there.
system. You know?
Target destroyed.
We've almost got them all. Clean up the survivors.
Target acquired.
So any hit I do make is actually kind of light. But we seem to have broken the back of this one now. So
Target
I
acquired.
can't really breach armor
Target
plating.
destroyed.
I erode armor plating. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I dish out more and more damage the longer I can focus on the targets. And I'm actually done okay here, I think. Question is though, where's the enemy? There's still an enemy left somewhere. So yeah, I need to kind of focus. I need a lot of face time. So that, and because I'm a Mauler, I'm a relatively easy target to hit. So you know, I don't want to get hit as much as I can avoid it.
Command to ground forces.
Oh, they found him.
Detecting no
Oh,
more hostiles.
but yeah, we got a win.
Good job, soldier.
Not bad. And honestly, this build feels okay. It's only 4 UAC 2s, but the 4 LRM5s feels like a good ranged complement for it. About the same damage, 516, but I got 10 assists and 1 kill most damage dealt. That was probably the supernova. I was really unloading into that guy. But yeah, not too shabby. So this has been Iron Mark III, walking around in a relatively classic Mauler design. Light weaponry, lacks individual punch, but can really dish out damage over time, especially if the enemy's a bit distracted. Plus, they don't seem to like so many explosions in their face, so, you know. That's always something to factor in with autocannons. Like many explosions, especially if they're looking at you, it can help to block their view rather significantly if you're aiming at about their cockpit area. So, you know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all some other ooh, 189 team damage! Whoops. Unfortunately, because I had a wide weapon spread, so when I was trying to fire past enemies, my weaponry kept clipping them. So, a bit too much team damage there. Kind of hard to avoid it, though, with the way it was going. But yeah, see you all later.